She wanted a break to explore her ex. So I sold our house and disappeared. Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Bit. Have you ever given someone your entire heart, only to discover they were keeping it as a backup option? Imagine building a life with the person you thought was your forever, sharing a home, planning a wedding, dreaming about your future together, and then hearing those devastating words. I need a break to explore things with my ex. That's exactly what happened to Jason, a successful 29-year-old whose world came crashing down when his fiancée Kate decided their 4-year relationship and engagement weren't enough to convince her he was the one. Let's dive in. I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but sometimes life throws you curveballs that change everything. My name is Jason, I'm 29, and until recently, I was engaged to the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. Spoiler alert, things didn't go as planned. Kate and I met 4 years ago at a charity fundraiser in downtown Boston. I was there representing my software company, and she was coordinating the event through her PR firm. I remember being struck by her confidence, the way she commanded the room, handled last-minute crises, and still managed to look completely put together. When she approached our table, I fumbled my words like an idiot, but somehow still got her number by the end of the night. "You're different," she told me on our first date at this little Italian place in the North End. "Most guys in Boston are either too full of themselves or trying too hard to impress me. You're just real." I fell for Kate quickly. She was smart, ambitious, and had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. We moved in together after a year, renting a nice apartment overlooking the Charles River. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Weekend brunches in Cambridge, summer trips to Cape Cod, and building our careers side by side. She excelled at her PR firm, eventually becoming a senior account manager, while I climbed the ranks at my tech company. After 3 years together, I proposed during a weekend trip to Vermont. Nothing extravagant, just us, a sunset view from a mountain cabin, and a ring I'd spent months saving for. When she said yes, I felt like the luckiest guy in the world. "We're going to have an amazing life together," Kate whispered that night, her head on my chest as we talked about our future. The wedding planning started immediately. Kate created elaborate Pinterest boards, researched venues, and dragged me to cake tastings. I was all in. This was our future, and I wanted it to be perfect for her. We even found a beautiful colonial house in a suburb just outside Boston. The previous owners had maintained the historic charm while updating all the essentials. It needed some work, but we saw the potential. "This is where our kids will grow up," Kate said as we walked through the empty rooms after our offer was accepted. I took out the mortgage in my name since my credit score was better, with plans to add her after the wedding. For a while, everything was perfect. We spent weekends painting walls and shopping for furniture. Kate's design sense transformed the house into something that could have been featured in a magazine. Our friends joked that we were the couple they aspired to be, successful, happy, and clearly in love. The first hint that something was off came about 6 months after we moved in. Kate's enthusiasm for wedding planning seemed to evaporate overnight. She started postponing appointments with vendors and changing the subject whenever I brought up the wedding. "We've got plenty of time," she'd say with a dismissive wave. "Let's not rush things." I chalked it up to work stress. Her firm had taken on some high-profile clients, and she was putting in long hours. I tried to be understanding, picking up more household responsibilities and giving her space when she needed it. Then came the night that should have been my wake-up call. We were at our friend's house for a game night, just the usual crew we'd known for years. After dinner, someone suggested playing Truth or Drink, a game where you either answer an uncomfortable question truthfully or take a shot. Everything was going fine until our friend Mark asked, "If you could relive one past relationship for a week, knowing what you know now, which would it be?" Without hesitation, Kate answered, "Definitely Ryan." The room went quiet. Ryan was Kate's college boyfriend, the one she dated for 3 years before they broke up when he moved to California for work. According to Kate, the long distance had been too hard, and they'd parted amicably. She'd never given me any reason to think she still had feelings for him. Kate must have realized her mistake because she quickly added, "I mean, just because it ended so abruptly. We never really got closure, you know." Our friends awkwardly moved the game along, but the damage was done. Later that night, I asked her about it. "It was just a stupid game, Jason," she said, clearly annoyed. "Don't make this into something it's not." I wanted to believe her, but something felt off. Over the next few weeks, I noticed Kate was on her phone more than usual, smiling at texts and quickly turning the screen away when I walked by. She started making vague excuses to go out alone and would come home later than expected, offering brief explanations that didn't quite add up that I wasn't looking to catch her in a lie. But one Friday night, I came home early from a work event that ended sooner than expected. I found Kate on the couch, staring at her laptop with tears in her eyes. "What's wrong?" I asked, setting down my keys. She jumped, quickly wiping her eyes and closing her laptop. "Nothing. Just watching a sad video." But I'd seen enough of the screen to know she was looking at old photos of her and Ryan. The next week was tense. Kate and I danced around each other, having surface-level conversations, but avoiding anything meaningful. I wanted to confront her about the photos, but part of me was afraid of what I might learn. Then came the night that changed everything. That I came home from work to find Kate sitting at our kitchen island, a glass of wine in front of her. She looked like she hadn't slept well. "We need to talk," she said, her voice steady but distant. That I sat down across from her, my heart already sinking. "What's going on, Kate?" She took a deep breath. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. About us, about the wedding, about everything." And I prompted when she paused. "Ryan moved back to Boston last month," she said, not meeting my eyes. "We ran into each other at that marketing conference I attended. We've been talking and..." She trailed off. "And what?" My voice was sharper than I intended. "I think I need some time to figure things out," she finally said. "I need to know if there's still something there with Ryan before I can fully commit to marrying you." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "Are you serious right now? You want to take a break from our engagement to explore things with your ex?" "It's not like that," she said quickly. "I just need to be sure. If it doesn't work out with Ryan, I'll know for certain that you're the one." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So you want me to sit around and wait while you test drive your ex-boyfriend? And if he doesn't meet your expectations, you'll settle for me?" "You're twisting my words," Kate said, her voice rising. "This isn't about settling. It's about being certain before we make a lifetime commitment. We've been together for 4 years, Kate. We're engaged. We bought a house together. If you're not certain by now, when will you be?" "I'm not asking for permission, Jason," she said, her tone hardening. "I'm telling you what I need right now." We argued for hours. Kate insisted she just needed space to work through her feelings. I told her she was being selfish and unfair. Eventually, we reached an impasse. "Fine," I said, emotionally exhausted. "Take your break. Figure out whatever you need to figure out." Kate seemed surprised by my acquiescence. "I'll stay at my sister's place for a while," she said, already reaching for her phone. "This isn't forever. Just a few weeks to clear my head." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak without saying something I'd regret. That night, after Kate packed a bag and left, I sat alone in our house, the house we'd picked out together, the house where we were supposed to build our life. I felt hollow, betrayed, and completely blindsided. How had I missed the signs? How long had she been thinking about Ryan? But as the initial shock wore off, another feeling began to take its place: determination. If Kate wanted space to explore her options, I'd give her all the space in the world. The next morning, I called my best friend, Chris. We'd been friends since college, and he'd always been straight with me, even when the truth hurt. "She did what?" Chris exclaimed after I explained the situation. "Man, that's messed up. Tell me about it," I said, pacing around my kitchen. "I don't know what to do." "Yes, you do," Chris replied firmly. "You know exactly what to do. You're just hoping there's a way to fix this, to get her back." He was right. Part of me was still clinging to the idea that Kate would come to her senses, realize she'd made a terrible mistake, and come home. "Listen," Chris continued, "she's made her choice. She chose to explore things with Ryan over your relationship. Now you need to make a choice too." That conversation was the wake-up call I needed. I spent the weekend making plans, not to win Kate back, but to move forward with my life. First, I called a realtor. Since the house was solely in my name, I could sell it without Kate's approval. The market in our area was hot, and the realtor was confident we could get offers quickly. "Are you sure about this?" the realtor asked. "It's a big decision." "I'm sure," I replied. "It's time for a fresh start." Next, I contacted my company's HR department about a position I knew was open in our Seattle office. I'd been offered the role 6 months earlier, but turned it down because Kate and I were settled in Boston. Now, there was nothing holding me back. The position is still available if you're interested, my boss told me when I called him on Monday. But why the sudden change of heart? Let's just say my circumstances have changed, I replied. I'm ready for a new challenge. By Wednesday, the house was officially on the market. I hired a moving company to pack up Kate's belongings and deliver them to her sister's place, along with a note that simply read, "Enjoy your exploration. Jay." I didn't hear from Kate for 3 days after her things were delivered. Then the text started. "What are you doing? Why are you selling the house? Can we please talk about this? You're overreacting. This isn't what I meant when I said I needed space." I didn't respond. Instead, I focused on preparing for my move to Seattle. I accepted the job offer, found an apartment through a virtual tour, and started packing my essential belongings. News travels fast in social circles. By the weekend, our mutual friends were calling and texting, trying to understand what was happening. I was honest but brief. Kate wanted to take a break to explore things with her ex. I decided I deserved better than being someone's backup plan. Some friends thought I was being too harsh. Others completely understood. But I wasn't making decisions based on anyone's opinions anymore. Only my own point. 10 days after Kate left, she showed up at the house. I was in the middle of packing when the doorbell rang. "What are you doing, Jason?" she demanded as soon as I opened the door. Her eyes were red, and she looked like she hadn't been sleeping well. "What does it look like?" "I'm packing," I replied calmly. "You're selling our house. You're just giving up on us." Her voice cracked. "I'm not giving up on anything, Kate. You already did that when you decided you needed to explore things with Ryan. It's not working out with him," she admitted, tears forming in her eyes. "I made a huge mistake. I was scared of committing, of the finality of marriage. But I know now that you're who I want." A month ago, those words would have been all I needed to hear. Now they just made me sad. "I'm glad you figured that out," I said. "But this isn't about Ryan anymore. This is about you thinking you could put our relationship on hold while you explored other options. That's not how this works." "So that's it. After 4 years together, you're just walking away?" she asked incredulously. "No, Kate. You walked away. I'm just accepting your decision and making my own." I told her about the job in Seattle, about my plans to start fresh. With each detail, the reality of the situation seemed to hit her harder. "Please, Jason, we can work through this. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes," she pleaded. "I'm sorry, Kate. I really am. But some things can't be fixed once they're broken." After she left, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. The life I'd planned with Kate was over, but in its place was the possibility of something new. A life built on self-respect and the knowledge that I wouldn't settle for being anyone's second choice. The house sold within a week for more than the asking price. I used part of the proceeds to settle the remaining shared expenses and put the rest into savings for my fresh start in Seattle. My last week in Boston was bittersweet. I said goodbye to friends, visited my favorite places one last time, and tied up loose ends at work. Kate made a few more attempts to change my mind, each more desperate than the last. But my decision was made that on my final night in the city, Chris insisted on throwing me a going-away party at his apartment. It was small, just a few close friends, beer, and pizza. As the night wound down, Chris pulled me aside. "You know, when you first told me what happened, I was ready to hunt Kate down and give her a piece of my mind," he admitted. "But now, seeing how you've handled everything, I'm just impressed. You're going to be fine, man. Better than fine." I nodded, grateful for his friendship. "Thanks for having my back through all this." "Always," he replied, then grinned. "Besides, now I have an excuse to visit Seattle." The drive across the country was therapeutic. With each mile that passed, I felt the weight of the past few weeks lifting. I stopped at national parks, took scenic detours, and spent evenings in small-town diners, rediscovering parts of myself that had gotten lost in my relationship with Kate. Seattle welcomed me with its characteristic rain, but I didn't mind. My new apartment in Capitol Hill was modern and minimalist, completely different from the colonial house in Boston. It was a blank slate, just like this chapter of my life. My new job kept me busy, and I gradually began building a routine. I joined a local rock climbing gym, started hiking on weekends, and even adopted a dog from a shelter, a scruffy terrier mix I named Charlie. 3 months after my move, I received an email from Kate. The subject line simply read, "Closure. Dear Jason," it began. "I've started and deleted this email a dozen times, never quite finding the right words. But I need to say this, even if you never respond. What I did to you was unforgivable. I took our relationship for granted and hurt the one person who always put me first. The truth is, I was scared of how perfect things were with you. It seemed too good to be true, and some part of me was waiting for it all to fall apart. So instead of appreciating what we had, I sabotaged it. Ryan wasn't what I remembered or hoped he would be. But this isn't about him. It's about me not recognizing the value of what we had until it was gone. I'm not writing to win you back. I know that ship has sailed, and rightly so. I'm writing because I want you to know that you taught me what real love and respect look like, and I'll carry that lesson with me forever. I hope Seattle is everything you hoped it would be. I hope you're happy, Jason. You deserve it more than anyone I know. With regret and gratitude, Kate." I read the email several times, sitting on my balcony with Charlie at my feet. Finally, I wrote a simple reply. "Thank you for your email, Kate. I appreciate your honesty and wish you all the best moving forward. Take care, Jason." As I hit send, I realized I truly meant those words. The anger and hurt had faded, replaced by a quiet acceptance. What happened with Kate had led me here, to this new life that increasingly felt like exactly where I was supposed to be. That weekend, I met my neighbors at a building barbecue. Among them was Megan, an elementary school teacher with a quick wit and a passion for hiking that matched my own. We bonded over our shared love for obscure indie bands and terrible sci-fi movies. "So what brought you to Seattle?" she asked as we stood by the grill, waiting for our burgers that I considered giving her the simplified version I usually offer to new acquaintances. Instead, I found myself telling her the truth about Kate, the break, the house, all of it. When I finished, Megan was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Well, Boston's loss is definitely Seattle's gain." I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. "That's one way to look at it." "It's the only way to look at it," she insisted. "Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best places." Looking around at my new life, the city I was growing to love, the career opportunity one might have missed, even Charlie who'd become my loyal companion, I couldn't help but agree that Kate's betrayal had broken my heart. But in that breaking, it had also set me free. Free to discover who I was outside of our relationship. Free to build a life based on self-respect rather than compromise. Free to find someone who would choose me first. Every time as Megan and I continued talking, I realized that for the first time since Kate had asked for that break, I wasn't looking back anymore. I was looking forward, to tomorrow, to next week, to all the possibilities that lay ahead. Sometimes the end of one story is just the beginning of a better one. As we come to the end of Jason's journey, I can't help but wonder what each of us would have done in his position. Would we have had the courage to walk away from someone we loved deeply, even after they realized their mistake? Or would we have given them a second chance? The truth is, there's no universal right answer. Relationships are complicated, and betrayal affects each of us differently. What makes Jason's story so powerful isn't just what happened to him, but how he chose to respond. Instead of allowing himself to become a victim of circumstance, he took control of his narrative. He refused to be anyone's backup plan, and in doing so, he discovered a strength within himself that might have remained dormant had Kate never asked for that break. As Jason himself reflected, Kate's betrayal had broken my heart, but in that breaking, it had also set me free. Free to discover who I was outside of our relationship. Free to build a life based on self-respect rather than compromise. This story reminds us that sometimes the most painful endings can lead to beautiful new beginnings. Jason's cross-country journey wasn't just a physical relocation. It was a metaphorical journey towards self-discovery and healing that I'm curious to know what you think. Was Jason too harsh in how he handled the situation? Or did he do exactly what was necessary to protect himself? Would you have given Kate another chance when she realized her mistake? Or do you think some betrayals simply can't be forgiven? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might help someone else who's going through something similar right now. If Jason's story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps others find these stories and lets me know you want more content like this. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing Jason's journey, perhaps a friend who's struggling to leave a relationship where they're not valued, consider sharing this video with them. Remember, sometimes the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. And as Jason learned, honoring that relationship might mean making difficult choices that others don't understand. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next story.